Actually, there are two Birlas. One Birla is the one that you can describe in numbers, a person who heads 3.1 lakh crore rupees assets of companies spanning over 34 countries, 36 countries, chairman of companies in the US, in Canada, in Thailand, spanning across chemicals, wood pulp, textiles, telecom. And then there is another Birla, a Birla who is a son and had to take up onerous responsibilities at a very young age, a father of a pop singer and a cricketer. This is the other Birla that we are trying to unplug today. Mr. Kumar Birla, it's a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us.
One of the people I had first given an interview to was Lata Venkatesh about 23 years ago, 24 years ago, and I said, "Mao, this such a docile, quiet, hardly spoke." Interview didn't last for too long because I was also very quiet then. And now you have this empowering personality on television who really broke the ceiling, at least for our generation, in business news on television. So great to be with you, Lata.
Thank you very much, Mr. Birla. That's, I'll try to live up to that image that you have given of me. Well, but let's go back to that 24, 25 years ago. That Kumar Birla who had to come back from your ailing father's bed and take up such a large position. I mean, if it was not 3 lakh crore, it was 30,000 crore, but 30,000 crore was a lot of money in 1995. Let's begin the story over there. Your colleagues, all maybe double your age at that time, and even more than double your age, they said you were extremely perceptive. You knew a lot, and you asked them, even your questions were searching, and the comments were guiding. So you kind of, even at 28, were prepared?
So you're going to give me some names of people who said this?
The only thing journalists don't reveal are their sources.
They missed their chances on bonuses and increments, but I'd love to know their names all the same. Well, you know, I was well qualified. I'd done my CA, I'd done my MBA. More than that, I'd spent a lot of time working with my father. So I don't know if what you said is true. I think they were just being very sort of generous. But it's not like I was completely, a babe in the woods. I understood business. I understood the dynamics of business. I wasn't exposed to all the businesses of the group at that time, but I had a very good sense of what it takes to run a business. That's for sure. My father made sure that I knew that. I think also in light of the fact that he was critically unwell.
Yeah, well, then let that be the next question. What did father teach in terms of business principles?
So lots of stuff. I'd sit on with him for 2 years. I think I sat with him for the entire 2 years, and he made sure I paid attention. And he'd ask me questions when he thought I was dropping off. But I think in his case, it was just vision. He taught me how clairvoyance, vision, can shape the future, hard work. Also consistency. I mean, he kept at it and kept at it and kept at it. He never sort of, kind of slacked off even for a day or for a month. I was supposed to go on a work trip, I remember, and I didn't go because I think he said, "You didn't go?" And I said, "Yeah, I was very tired." And I remember him telling me that, I haven't heard of anyone who died because of being tired. And what do I say?
For all the professionalism of up until the early 90s, it was still friends and family. A large part of Indian conglomerates had a large number of friends and family. But you nicely professionalized the entire group. How did you manage that? Because you would have rubbed some family and friends the wrong way.
So I think just at the time that I was taking over in corporate India, I was going through a huge metamorphosis. Tariffs were coming down. This was after Dr. Manmohan Singh's budget, not too after that, not too many years after that. We were still reeling under that impact. So you had a competition at your doorstep, in your backyard. You had a whole new set of investors who would come into India. The FIIs who you know so well, the foreign institutional investors, and their demands from you in terms of what they would want their investments to do, their companies that they invested in to do was very different. So you required a very different set of skills to succeed going forward. And the skill sets that you had required to succeed that far weren't really the only skill sets you required going forward. I think that in our group at the time, we had the bulk of our people were chartered accountants, as was I. So when you talk about professionalizing, I don't think it was unprofessional. I think that it needed contemporization, more so because of this whole change happening in the outside world that coincided with my father's passing away. I thought that with the new world, you're required to have skills of how to manage people better, how to attract better talent, how to provide people with attractive career paths. So that was a big area of my focus. You also needed to know things in a more holistic perspective. It wasn't an era where you got a license and put up a plant. You needed to know where to play, how to play, who are you actually catering to, who's your customer. Do you want to be an all-India player only, or do you want to play also overseas? So there's a whole new set of strategic thinking capabilities that you're required to have. And all I was doing was importing some of the skill sets that we didn't have from the outside. From being a very homogeneous group, almost all Marwadi, and I'm a very proud Marwadi, to being a very heterogeneous group. We today 35 different nationalities. But the whole idea was to import talent that could bring in skill sets that we didn't have to succeed in the future at that point in time. That was my sort of philosophy at that point in time.
Well, I'll narrate to you what one of your, I won't say call them contemporaries, one of your seniors said. And you apparently told them this. Now, I don't know whether I'm reporting the conversation very faithfully, but what one of your people said is that Mr. Birla told me that, you know, if in a family there were two sons and one of them was clever, the other was mediocre, the clever one was sent to a multinational or a foreign bank, and the not so clever one, Birla always takes care of the family, so bring him into the Birla group. This tendency was there, and you wanted that changed. Am I reporting it correctly?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we had a womb-to-tomb policy, which was true for many businesses at that point in time. So if you were employed, then your son automatically almost got employed with the group. And I thought that was very unfair. I think people needed to come in. We needed people of a certain caliber and above. And so I brought in a policy to say that just because you're a son of an employee, you can't just come in. You need to be qualified. And I had this one conversation that stayed with me with someone who said that, you know, you've upset my future plan because my son, I had always thought would be part of the Birla organization. You've now come out with this so-called rule, and which means that his future is completely uncertain now. So what I was telling him is, which is what I think you're talking about, I was saying that, look, you've got two sons, you want to send the one from MIT into a, you know, foreign bank, and someone who's just a graduate, you want to send him to work with me. Why should that be the case? I mean, you send me the son who's the MIT graduate and see what we can do with him in terms of the kind of opportunities we can give him and in the way that he can bloom and grow in a very sort of interesting career. So that was the whole conversation. We wanted people with qualifications, we wanted people with a certain background, with a certain track record, as opposed to people coming in and then just staying on pretty much till they passed away.